Our next natural or organic pest control segment deals with the use of biological controls. And these biological controls are using either direct or indirectly naturally occurring either predators or parasites or maybe pathogens that we use to control or hold the pest populations down in our garden or landscape at levels, again, that we can tolerate, where we don't lose the plants or reduce the yield or reduce our economic profits, depending on the purpose of our gardening. And when we talk about biological controls, one of the interesting topics or areas that falls under biological is the use of beneficial insects. And we're fortunate enough to have a new fact sheet that was put out last year on beneficial insects, and it's fact sheet number 7307, and again, it's available at your local or your county extension office. Now, the fact sheet goes into some of the most common beneficial insects, but the nice thing is that it will actually have some color pictures to show us what those look like, because so many times we might come out in the garden and we're not sure, is it a good guy or is it a bad guy? But a couple that I want to talk to you about that are most easily found in the garden are our lady beetles and green lacewings. And again, we've got pictures and good paragraphs that talk about some of these other ones in addition to these. But remember, the lady beetles are oval in shape and they're brightly colored and often spotted. And the larvae, though, are the creatures that sometimes scare people because they are elongate, usually dark colored and spotted with orange or yellow color. And sometimes they look scary, so people will dispose of those when that's the larva stage of our good lady beetle. Now remember, they're going to feed on a lot of the aphids and sometimes spider mites, mealybugs, scale insects, so they really have a large appetite. And again, it's really nice to try to attract those types of insects in. Now, the green lacewings are usually, the adult is very familiar to people because it's a pale green insect with large, clear, highly veined wings. And again, the adults feed on nectar and other fluids, but it's the larval stage that's going to maybe feed on some of our harmful insects that, again, like aphids, some other soft-bodied type insects in addition to aphids. So green lacewings and the lady beetle are some that you need to become familiar with, and the larval stages are sometimes what are the beneficial stage of that particular insect. Now on the back of the fact sheet, they give us a source of beneficial insects, where we can purchase those. But there's a paragraph up here that you really need to pay attention to, because they're telling us that virtually no research has been conducted on releasing beneficials in backyard gardens. But what they're finding is if you go and you order some of these, say like from California or other states, those insects may not be adapted to our Oklahoma conditions. And then how can you guarantee that they're going to stay on this tomato plant, or let alone in your garden? So that's a problem, and most of the specialists are telling us that it's really not cost effective to purchase those and keep them in our garden because we have no control over that. Now in a greenhouse situation, it is a good idea. You can buy the beneficials and get them to stay in there. So really the best thing is just to try to identify them and attract them in naturally into your garden versus spending the money to release them, because again, you can't really guarantee that they're going to stay in your garden. Now, in addition to the list of beneficial insects that we have, don't forget about the other critters like spiders and frogs, and also some of the the snakes that eat on insects, and some of the birds even are good friends to have in the garden. Now, in addition to the beneficial insects, also under the biological control category, I want to talk to you about some biocontrol agents that are referred to. And these, again, are naturally occurring like bacteria, fungi, nematodes, viruses, just to mention a few that kill harmful insect pests in the garden. And so now we've been able to manufacture those and release them where we can get the same impact. And one of the most common biological or biocontrol agents that we've talked about on the show before are the Bacillus Thuringiensis, or BT products. And there's really about 3 of those products that are well adapted to Oklahoma conditions. And let me go over those real quickly. so you'll understand which ones to purchase for what particular control. Remember, the Bacillus Thuringiensis is a bacteria, and that when certain types of larval insects come in contact with them, they actually lose their appetite, and after a few days they will quit eating and die, and it makes them sick to their stomach. So it takes a while for these to work, but again, as far as the bacteria, they're not considered harmful to humans who are applying them. Now, the first BT product, the variety is called Berliner Kerstaki, and this particular one is one that will control like cabbage looper, cabbage worm, hornworms, tent caterpillars, fall webworms, bagworms, and cankerworms, to mention a few. And we've got a couple of those products right here. This one is in a dust formulation. This one is in a emulsifiable concentrate that will mix with water, and you can also get a wettable powder, and you just need to follow the directions to know how to mix them up and apply them. But both of these products work better under the conditions of younger larvae. For example, if you'll check, if you have a problem with bagworms, go out right now and you'll see they're very, very small, less than 1/4 of an inch in size, and that's the stage to try to control them versus when they get too large. Now also there is a variety called San Diego, which is this particular one here, and it works on elm leaf beetle and Colorado potato beetle larvae. And then the one in front is Israeliensis, which works on mosquito larvae. So check your garden center because there's a lot of the BT products out on the market. There's also other things like protozoa, fungi, viruses, and nematodes that there's a lot of research being conducted that fall under the biological controls. Again, they're naturally occurring, and they're using them on a lot of the insects in the garden as well as mosquitoes and a lot of ornamental insects too. So the next few years are going to be real exciting to see what kind of research comes out of these naturally occurring organisms. Well, next time we're going to talk more about organic pest control, but specifically on botanical type insecticides and some of the naturally occurring insecticides. So we hope you'll join us next week for that topic on organic gardening.